everyone. Welcome back to Crypto City. Hope you all had a great weekend and that your Monday wasn't too painful. We have an interesting creator on tonight as our guest. In a few moments, we'll bring out POCI, who's a world builder with a passion for anime and VR. There were lots of little things in the news over the last week, but I'm just going to touch on two that I found extra interesting. First, OpenAI just gave us a sneak peek into their latest innovation called Voice Engine. This model can clone human voices from just a 15-second audio snippet and produce speech that sounds totally natural. Pretty cool, right? And you're probably thinking, well, this is a thing that's already been done because of all the music controversies and the songs sounding like they're from the original artist. But this is actually supposed to be more controlled and supposedly safer and better. Voice Engine keeps the original speaker's accent and emotions intact in the generated speech, which would be truly interesting with my crazy Boston accent. But we'll see. Right now, it's in the hands of a few partners, including HeyGen, which is an AI startup. And OpenAI is taking security very seriously and implementing measures like watermarking to prevent misuse. What could be the outcome? Well, OpenAI's been tinkering with Voice Engine since about 2022 and using it behind the scenes because they're being cautious about this and releasing it, before releasing it into the wild. Because they're really worried about, potential misuse, especially during this election season. So they're being a little bit more conservative than they normally would. But let's talk about how this tech could really shake things up. Education getting a boost with natural sounding voices, helping kids learn, that's a big positive. And translation becoming smoother, letting creators reach global audiences in their own voices instead of having such a, scripted sounding translation. And then remote communities are benefiting from improved service delivery thanks to Voice Engine. And people with speech disabilities finding their voice again, and even in healthcare, Voice Engine making waves, helping patients regain speech. So these are all very positive things that could come out of this, but OpenAI is just not throwing it out there without second thought. They're being super careful. Their partners are testing Voice Engine, playing by the rules, and getting consent from the original speakers, being very transparent about the AI-generated voices. They don't want to have to go through all of these legal controversies. But looking ahead, OpenAI is keeping an eye on a bigger picture. They're thinking about how to keep this tech safe and responsible, like phasing out voice-based authentication and educating folks on AI's capabilities and limitations. In a nutshell, Voice Engine's peek into the future of AI and OpenAI making sure we're ready for it, one conscious step at a time. It's really exciting stuff. So in other cool news, Microsoft and OpenAI are teaming up for a massive project named Stargate. They're looking into building a data center that'll be a home to a supercomputer packed with millions of AI chips, all to power OpenAI's next-gen models. Some of the key points about this is like Stargate's price tag is a whopping $100 billion, making it 100 times pricier than your average data center. So, obviously this does not come without a lot of fundraising. Microsoft's likely footing the bill, but they're aiming to launch as early as 2028. The cool part, though, is Stargate is designed to handle AI chips from different manufacturers, reducing their reliance on just one type. We've all learned, if we came from AltSpace, that you do not want to put all your eggs in one basket. You need to diversify, so this will actually be really good for the model. Imagine a data center that's 100 times larger than anything we've seen before. It's a massive investment of cash, of energy, and time. Stargate shows that Microsoft and OpenAI are dead serious about pushing the boundaries of AI, no matter what the cost. So in a nutshell, Stargate, not just any old data center project, it's a glimpse into the future where AI is at the forefront. Microsoft and OpenAI are leading that charge. Again, exciting times ahead. Everything about AI just gets me so excited. I always love every week seeing all the new things that come out. So I'm happy to share this stuff with you, but I've told you guys before, if you're interested, I have some daily newsletters that come through to me, and I'd be more than willing to share those with you guys. If you're interested, just send me a DM and we can talk about it. So now let's get started with tonight's guest. So please help me give a warm welcome to POCI. POCI, please join us on the stage.
Hello.
Welcome. go ahead and grab a
Right.
seat. How are you doing today? Good to have you here. Thank you for coming on.
Doing pretty good. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. I mean, you're a creator, a world creator. I know a lot of people here in the audience today very familiar with your work. You've done some things for the community that have been, very popular. But tell us a little bit about, let's start with POCI. What is the inspiration behind your name?
Oh, yeah. So I came up with that. 'Cause I'm a big anime fan. I was trying to come up with some kind of like acronym to use, and came across a meme. There was always this meme of this guy. He'd look at his other friend and say, "I see you're a man of culture as well." It's just a little joke. So I was like, "I'll take that." Culture. I was like, "How can I make this seem pretty cool and keep it Japanese at the same time?" And I was like, "Oh, I like Pocky," so it just came together. It really did. I was like, "Oh, People of Culture International." I mean, it's not spelled right, but close enough.
No, that's I like that you're, when I read it and I saw people of culture, I was like, you know what? This actually makes me feel like it's a very inclusive thing that you're trying to get everybody together here in the VR realm. So, the let's talk about your beginnings because you just said you're a big anime fan. Obviously, we can tell by looking at your avatar, you've chosen to stay in an anime avatar. So, what's your background and everything? How did you end up coming into VR, and where did you come from?
Well, I saw the Quest 2 came out I'd been aware of the Quest 1, and I saw a lot of the things going around on a lot of the social medias with the Ugandan Knuckles thing in VR chat, and a lot of the other funny stuff that people did for a while. And just decided to get a headset, and lo and behold, around the same time frame, they came out with the Quest 2. And so I ended up with that one. And it's been holding out pretty well. Controllers are a bit buggy, but when I first loaded up into the world, it was just like you saw this thing about creators and creating your own home world and creating like avatars and stuff. And I just kind of looked at it and went, nah, I'm not going to need to do that. I'll just use what they have here. But eventually, a lot of my friends started talking about just the little things first, like editing your avatar and making it customized and finding a world builder, because a lot of them didn't want to mess with that stuff, and just bringing it all together. And I had a college course in Blender years ago. It was like over a decade ago. And I was really big into graphic design anyway, so I was like, why not use a game, or why not learn a game engine while I'm at it? And just dove right into it. That's about.
So interesting, though, that you said you had Blender in school, and those of us who are here, most of the audience here today, we're learning about Blender from being in here in VR. And there's Kip is out in the audience, and Kip does he creates a lot in Blender, but he also is holding some classes to help educate us and have us learn a little bit about Blender, and have us be able to be a little bit more tech savvy in that arena. It's not, you don't need a PhD to do it, but it's definitely not walk in the door, entry level, play around and come out with, it takes time. It definitely takes time and dedication.
Yeah. Got a lot of little pieces.
Did that spark an interest for you?
Yeah, it really did spark an interest, because even though it was a very rudimentary class back when I took it, it was just basics. They didn't have a lot of the controls that they have now. They basically just taught you how to work with meshes, work with materials a little bit, not a lot, and then work with lighting, a fraction of what you would think you would need to know for world building. But yeah, it all really came together. I dove into it, like, I'd say 6 months after I started VR chat, and learned a lot pretty fast too. But that's because I had the little pretext of information. So it was just a lot of brushing up on Blender and then maybe learning a few more features here and there.
So was VR chat the first digital realm that you came into when you joined VR?
I don't think it was the very first. I think I started with some like single player games. I was playing a lot of that. What was it called? Swords and Sorcery or Blade and Sorcery, something like that, and Beat Saber.
Yes.
The fun little games, and very, very physical, but very fun. And then I headed over to VR chat from there.
Well, obviously, having the, anime love and then coming in here and having, a little bit of a background in design and everything. Did you also, in addition to playing around with Blender, did you have any artistic, background skills?
Yeah, I've played with many different artistic mediums and stuff like that. I've had used to do drawings, like just pencil drawings. I've done charcoal, graphic design. I also ended up taking a class around the same time I was doing Blender. I took a Photoshop class and learned Photoshop and Illustrator. Learned a lot of different basic things in college, but not like too much, just enough to get a good frameworks together to start learning other things.
So you come in here and you see some worlds, and you, like you said, some of your friends were like, I don't want to, I need to find a world builder. So you see a need, and you're like, maybe I can fill that need. So when you first started out, were you like building assets? Were you playing around a little bit, or did you just jump straight in and start building worlds?
I was playing a lot with Unity. Like I said, I hadn't worked with a game engine before. I'd worked with Blender, but the game engine was completely new to me. I found it really similar. It has a lot of basic 3D space and a lot of it's got collider physics that you can add on to different objects and stuff. There's some overlap. So it made it a little bit easier to deal with. The programming aspect of it didn't even really start coming into play until I got to thinking about Starter Club, because everybody kept asking me. He's like, "Hey, how about you put some kind of admin system into it?" And just kind of went from there.
So let's talk about that. So you Starter Club, basically, you decided to make a world that people would be able to, go in and customize for their own personal events, but it was, more of like a basic shell that you would, customize for them. Is that how that worked?
Yeah. So like I was going to have a tier system through my Patreon to like they could get some custom posters based on who they were, and it's going to know, since you're on my Patreon, like whose stuff goes with what to download, all that sorts of stuff. But that's all like back end stuff with the admin panel. Just has a lot to do with downloading the information or requesting to download the information from different sites for pictures and junk.
So the admin panel that you created, for those of us in here that actually do events on a regular basis, there's different admin panels that are within, the different platforms, whether you're, in Horizon, you're over here in VR chat, they're all a little bit different. Tell us a little bit about the one that you created, the concept behind it, and, what technology you used with that.
Right. So I found out that, in VR chat, you could create your own internal menus. And once I realized that, I was like, I want to create a menu system or an internal menu that deals with the permissions right there, rather than having to go to like a keypad or use a password, because a lot of people, when they were requesting these things, they were having trouble with like the keypads, people leaking the information and kind of sabotaging different people. And I wanted to get around that. So through a lot of research, I found a nice little workaround that it's still just game mechanics at the end of the day, but the admin panel lets you assign, like, let's say you want a crew member, you can just add a crew member. You want a DJ, you can add a DJ, and it's kind of like predetermined per the starter event club. Like I can't create roles and then assign them. I have to have like predetermined roles, but it's a start. I can make it more dynamic in the future.
So, for example, if you had a DJ, you would potentially assign that person to the DJ. They may have access to the DJ booth. They may be able to amplify. Like they would have specific skills and areas that are available to them. Whereas, maybe the moderators are only allowed in one section over there so that they're not out on the floor and stuff. So that's all done right in hand.
Oh, yeah. Makes it nice, easy, and you don't have to worry about anybody like looking around for hidden buttons or getting past colliders.
So So on your Patreon, you talked about how you have different tiers. And so if somebody is in a tier that has access to Starter World, do they get access to this admin panel? And with some training, they get to do that when they're having their own events, assign people on the fly?
Yes. So they'll be able to get up there and basically like they're the only ones that can see that admin button on the admin list. Actually, I think I made that one. I'm trying to think here. Oh yeah, so that world, I think the admins are the only ones that get teleports, or the people that have a role. So if they're crew or the admin, they can see the menu system, but nobody else can.
Okay.
But yeah, as you can see on the right side, the names pop up in there, and you just assign them a role or don't assign them a role, and it'll light up if they have that role, and if they don't, they just another guest.
That's pretty cool. I mean, there's, like I said, there's so many admin panels that exist out here. But I mean, it's great to see the thought that you had behind that with, let's predetermine what each role gets. And when I assign the person a role, because typically, I think in a lot of worlds, it's either you're an admin or you're not. So and this has different levels. So you can say, okay, well, you're this.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have a set event that you do every week, but the people might change, the roles might stay the same, this would be a very helpful tool for that.
Yeah, I can always add roles and stuff like this. There'll be like more buttons beside there that I could actually do it. I think a commission I did some time ago, they have like 4 roles that they can assign people. Yeah.
So now, is this done? You said, that you're doing a lot of stuff with Blender and Unity. Where is this done? What type of software are you using to create this?
Oh, so this is all within Unity. They create the admin panels, and they actually have U# scripting that you program it out with. And you just test it with the console in Unity, make sure everything works right, and then just upload it from there. So not really a lot of Blender work, a little bit of graphic design work for the icons and whatnot, but mainly it's just all inside Unity.
So let's talk about scripting for a second when you were just, mentioning different things. So are you using AI in scripting at all? I know a lot of developers are using it now, to help them test and to, fix different aspects that might not be working. Are you using ChatGPT to help you?
It's a good tool. I do use it on occasion, but even I'm like going back over the scripting it gives me and making sure that it doesn't have any logic errors, because a lot of the times it either, you got to be very specific in what you ask it with the coding language, or else it'll just throw something out. And it does tend to use a lot of the time things that aren't what's called exposed to UDON, which is just basically like saying VR chat says you can't use this. Think of a different way to do it. And you just work around that. You can talk back and forth with the AI and troubleshoot errors. But for the most part, I think I just use it to see if I can do it in a different way. I usually end up modifying it most of the time, because I learned a little bit of, I had a class in programming logic and problem solving also that I took in college, so that was very helpful. It's very important, especially when you get into any type of programming, to at least understand the base logic of how it works.
course. And it's interesting too, because I mean what you just said is exactly what we talk about all the time with AI, is that, you know, AI is a powerful thing that you can use to help you streamline, to help you advance and do it, you know, enhance things. But at the end of the day, you got to sit there and go over it regardless and make sure that what you asked it to do, it's doing correctly, because it may misinterpret what you asked if you didn't put the instructions in properly. And sometimes even when you do put them in properly, it translates them differently than what you anticipated the outcome to be.
Right. Yeah, it does
So
that a lot.
are you using AI a lot in your, you know, your creative methods as well? Like if you're trying to sit there and come up with a world that you want to create, do you kind of feed some information in and see if it throws some ideas back at you that might be useful?
Mainly I've either used the coding one that's very specific to coding, or I've used one to generate some AI seamless repeating textures. I'm pretty big on those because they're the easiest to really wrap around any type of mesh that you need.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of detail without a lot of having to create a whole new art piece in like Photoshop or something. Just throws it out there left and right.
So which AI programs are you using for that?
I've used Imagine or Midjourney. That's what it is, Midjourney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one seems to be really good. Although they've kind of got more restrictive as time goes on. Like you can't do the whole. I don't know if they have this back in or not, but you used to be able to put a picture of yourself in there and have it like do different stuff with it. But I think they took that picture thing out, which would have been really helpful, even for texturing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all you can really do is just type in what you want and say, "Hey, I want something that looks like this," and then just let it generate a whole bunch of options for you.
Mm-hmm. And then kind of narrow it down and play with those a little bit until you find exactly what you're looking for. So, you know, when you do that and you create these images and you're getting them from Midjourney or whatever AI you're using at the time, and then you're just uploading these as textures into Unity to apply to whatever you've created.
Oh yeah. I also have another program that from that picture I can create what's called a normal map, and that really helps with detail. But they are a bit bigger in size, so like, you got to watch how many normal maps you're using. Usually, you kind of want to work with like non-textured stuff, like flat stuff. Kind of like in this room, you got a lot of marble, and that really helps with file size.
Mm-hmm. So that's one thing we talk about a lot is, you know, you come into a world sometimes like this world is nice and smooth. You come in, everything is, you know, it's very seamless. You go into some other worlds, you walk in and everything's just, you know, shaking and crazy. And a lot of times it's because it's just too heavy of a world, or the avatars that are coming into the world are also heavy and weighing it down. So, you know, when you're creating things, you know, people don't always realize, you know, well, you know, sometimes it looks like it's very low poly and simple, but that is because there's other things in the room that you want to enhance. So some items you might make less so that it's, you know, not as heavy when it loads up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that and you know, compressing your textures and doing the tedious work of making sure that every single image you have is just compressed as much as possible without losing too much detail. So, you know, just go through all those steps, and you can usually get them pretty good, pretty far. I did notice that Android build or Unity or Quest 2, that build, it does some extra compression all on its own anyway. So
it
that definitely helps.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the worlds that you've built. Actually, we, you know, you've talked about the starter world that you did, but there's also POCI's Lounge. So tell us a little bit about some of these worlds, you know, before you tell us about your new project that you're going to launch. Okay.
Well, I had a few before that. I used to have a lot more worlds in VR chat, but there was the whole thing with the community that I took them down for a while and just put a couple back up. And I wanted to do something that was kind of like, you ever seen the game Cyberpunk 2077? Like you go into like some of the nicer buildings and whatnot. I kind of wanted like a cyberpunk-esque apartment, but not to go too far with it. It's that's some like top tier AAA gaming stuff, so that'd probably take me months to do. But this was a nice medium kind of layout, and it came out really nice. Yeah, I was really happy with the lighting because I use Bakery for my lighting, and it's an amazing thing. I can't even explain it. It's like the built-in Unity light mapper. Its light maps are always like huge. You get like a 20 megabyte light map at the base, and it's like, oh my god, that's too big. I need more room for texture space. And you bake it with a Bakery, and I think that one's like maybe 4 megabytes. Really high definition, lots of detail, really small. I don't know how they do it.
Nice. We actually had a guest on a couple of weeks ago that was talking about Bakery. Aussie guy was mentioning that was a good one as well.
Oh god, yeah. I think if Unity was smart, they would switch over to something along those lines and maybe work with them. That would be really nice.
So you were also, you did some work on Titan's World for Atessa, which Atessa is here in the audience. She's actually who introduced me to you. I know you guys are good friends. So what did you do within that world?
That world, I built the interface that basically talks with the video player and sends it the links that are on my end, and that sends it to Titan's proxy and gives you back your video. So I basically built the UI interface and the singer queue list because they kind of work hand in hand. Yeah.
I think most of the people here have been to Atessa's karaoke world. And you know, it's a very popular place and especially people who love karaoke. I mean, I see that world is always full. But you know, she has people who are diehards who show up. You know, they get in their queue on the list. If you're in the world, you'll see all the names of the people who's up next. And you know, then they get up on stage, load up the song, and it plays. And you know, it's a great interface. I've seen it in action, which is really cool. So, do you feel that you enjoy more of the world building or the interface building? Which part of it do you like better? Because now I've seen the admin panel and you know that interface. What do you like better?
Yeah, I definitely like working with textures more. Although I know about programming, it can get very difficult at times, especially when you're troubleshooting, because sometimes the odds and ends will either become from a broken asset that you have in there, or maybe just an item that just got hiccuped in the system and just tossed out and just broken. So like you'll like replace one item and then it'll fix the whole thing. You're like, why did that even break? It gets very confusing and convoluted. Even the editor's broken on me a couple times where you have to like uninstall the editor and reinstall the editor. So meshes though, they don't break. At least they don't break the game engine. Coding, that's when you get into like things will break. It's not that it's not fixable. It's just that it's tedious. The testing can get kind of grueling sometimes, and you can get caught up on things. And yeah, programming logic is a whole nother animal.
Well, we have your new project reveal that we're going to show here. This you did for Atessa, correct?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So we're going to have Blue play that video for us so that we can get a little look at it. Here it comes. Such a beautiful world. So now is this is for karaoke, or is this for just a beautiful world to explore and check out?
Oh, this is for karaoke.
Nice.
I did make it so that if there's no karaoke event going on, that you can just use the video player as is. It's unlocked for everybody when there's no karaoke going on, but then when there's karaoke, obviously it's just that system in place.
It's quite
Build it
beautiful.
all into the. Oh yeah, the lighting was it's pretty interesting to work with. I know I still have a few little things that I gotta polish off, but it was a very nice. It came out looking very nice. I just love the whole atmosphere and the textures and the particle systems I found.
Definitely
I had some
captured a
particles
vibe
sitting by.
there. So this is beautiful. So and this is live now, correct?
Yes, yeah. So actually, I as of this interview, it's actually a public world now because before it was private. I decided I was going
Okay.
to make it live for this interview. That way, people can go in there and just check it out, favorite it, do whatever.
Oh, beautiful. Maybe we'll drop a portal to this at the end of the show so everybody can go check out this new world before karaoke night. But it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you put some very detailed, stunning pictures in there. The tapestries, the rug. It's beautiful. This is very nice.
Oh yeah.
So this
Yeah.
you did. Did you create this in Blender and Unity or just in Unity?
This was mainly a lot of Blender work. I did like the shell of the world, and a lot of the other things are fixed items from places like Sketchfab and CG Trader, because a lot of the time you'll get things from there and they'll have too many textures on them, they'll have too many materials on them, or not too many textures, just too many materials, and that all messes with the math and the performance, things of that nature. But
again, trying to keep the face count down.
Yep, I was surprised to Tessa with it at one point, and then we went over and she really kind of helped me flesh out a lot of the decor and the design, and it really came together once she got all that stuff in place, and she like picked out all the pictures of the for the top part. It's a lot of AI and other other images, AI and actual art, I think.
Well, it came out really great. So congratulations, Atessa, on your new place. Absolutely beautiful. So you can drop a portal at the end of the show and we'll bring everybody over there so that they can check it out in person and then they can favorite the world. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about, you have a Discord that you share a lot of tidbits on, and you also have a Gumroad with some different assets that are available for people. Tell us a little bit about that, and what your goals are for sharing with the community.
Yeah, well, as time goes on, I'm hoping to build the my assets up, the actual original created assets that are low poly. I started with a few very basic ones. That light is the spotlight is from another world I have that's actually up but needs updated, and a poster frame. I felt like that was kind of a good low poly way. I'd seen like more basic ones that had more polys, and I was like, I could do better than that, so I might as well. And then I made a basic shelf, didn't really put anything on it, and then I made those glasses, which I think I did okay with, as long as you don't spam them in the world too much. They're pretty lightweight.
So those you create in Blender and then put them up onto Gumroad?
Yep, I actually do two steps because I wanted to focus on VR chat, like just a drag and drop items. A lot of stuff in Sketchfab and CG Trader are not drag and drop for VR chat. So Gumroad, they just allow me to create a prefab or upload a prefab of the item. So specifically, like, this is VR chat ready. You just drag, drop, place it wherever you want to, and you're good to go. I'm hoping I can create a huge library.
From the time you came into VR until you were able to create this kind of stuff, I mean, not given the little bit of time when you were first just checking it all out and everything, like, realistically, how much time passed before you were able to create these items and put them out there for the public?
I believe it was about 6 weeks, I actually was fortunate enough to get a mentor, and he showed me the ropes. I mean, as somebody who knows a lot of devs in VR chat, and he pointed me to all the right information. And a big part of it was, go on the VR chat Discord, and they'll point you in the right direction. They'll show you where all the documentation is. None of the information is hidden. I'd run into a few groups in VR chat that were kind of gatekeepy, but as soon as you meet the right person that basically just says go on VR chat Discord, it's like, oh, there's no gates there. All the information's posted everywhere.
Well, we do talk a lot about how, when you are wanting to learn this stuff, I mean, we have people in our audience who, they're like, oh, I really want to be able to try and do this and stuff. If you ask people in the community, typically you can find people who are willing to help you. And, if you're willing to be open to learning and you're going to put the time and effort into it, you can find, like you said, a mentor or an instructor or whatever who sees that you are serious about it. I mean, don't waste people's time if you're like, oh, well, I just want to create this one thing only. Then, hire somebody to make that one little thing for you. But if you really want to, get into this and be able to create worlds or create, even just digital assets that go inside your worlds, take the time, put the effort into it, find somebody that you like the way that they work. Like, there are different there's different styles, just like in the real world. You might like certain art and I might like something different. There's different styles in here. There's different types of furniture and different types of digital assets. But if you find someone where you're like, I really like their style, I like how they're doing things, chat with them a little bit, find out what resources that they're doing. And like you said, go on the Discord. In a lot of the Discords, there's tons of available, how-tos, links to go to different places. Though the stuff is out there, you need to put the legwork in for it.
Oh yeah, that's what it's all about too. Because as my mentor said, there really are no shortcuts, and that was a lot of the first groups I got into. They thought there might be like quick ways to do things, and there are, but then that's where you run into the laggy worlds. You're just doing the bare minimum, just putting stuff in there, and there's nothing wrong with that. It gets you to learn the interface. It gets you to learn everything that's in Unity, and it's a good starting point. But
then you need to refine.
VR chat Discord, yeah. And the VR chat Discord has just like every channel is like for something else. They have the world creators, they have the Udon help, they got the networking help, they have every single section you could possibly think of just on their Discord.
And that's available for everybody who's on their Discord.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I mean it's great that you're also sharing some of your stuff on your Discord, so it's a little trickle down effect as well.
Oh yeah. I tend to find like little odds and ends that people don't explain all that well or haven't explained in like videos online. Like my main one, I think, like was one of more recent ones. I noticed a lot of people would say they lost their project and lose hours of work because their scene would just be empty. So I did a little step-by-step instruction of saying, oh, you just have the wrong scene open, just open the right scene and it'll pop back up. If you didn't, get hasty and save over your work.
Well, there's that, yeah.
Yeah. But for the most part, it's helped quite a few people. That one's posted on YouTube. Little things here and there. I did a lot of Udon graph back in the day. I thought I was going to stick with that, but then I found out programming was actually much easier when it came down to it.
Okay.
Just how it worked
So let's
out.
talk about your Patreon for a minute. So you started a Patreon, you have different levels on it, and these tiers that you have offer different assets to people who sign up. So tell us what benefits there are to joining your Patreon.
Let's see. I pretty much think I geared it towards the starter club, which the 2 tiers that I did do for that was a host and a customization tier. So basically the hosting tier just gets you access to the admin system and to be able to host your own events. in a very, secure nature, so nobody could really like troll your events and junk like that. And then the other one's the customization tier, where you could put like the custom posters and kind of design it the way you wanted to a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have your contact info up here for your Instagram and for your Patreon if anybody's interested in checking out what POCI has on there. Let's talk
the Instagram's
about
a little empty on the Instagram, but other places are good.
Well, it's a contact if people wanted to reach out and DM you to get more information as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about your future plans, for VR. I mean, are you planning on staying within VR chat? Do you have any plans to expand into other metaverse realms?
I have checked out a few platforms time to time, seeing how far along they are. Until I can find something that has pretty much the integration that VR chat has with like Unity specifically, I think I might stick with this one. Or maybe, if I find one that's really heavy with like Unreal Engine 5, if I just get the inkling, maybe I'll just start looking into Unreal Engine 5 and developing with that and attach myself to another platform. So I'll stick with this one too, because it's the original platform, and I like taking it to the edge with details and lighting and things of that nature. Just seeing how much I can get out of it without going and crashing everybody. So
nobody likes to be crashed. Definitely not fun part. So let me ask you, do you have any advice for anyone who's out there that is newer to the platform? We know a lot of people come in December and January after getting headsets for Christmas time. Do you have any advice for anyone who's been in here a couple months now, checking this out and like, I enjoy this, I like this, I want to start creating too? What would you tell them?
Oh, definitely go ahead and do it. This place, like, one of the main things I think that motivates me is you can literally create anything. You can create anything that within the hardware limitations, and it's nobody can stop you from doing it. Nobody can stop you from making stuff and putting it in here. And it's great. It's just the only thing that I could do at the time. I think at that point in my life, I was just like looking for something to do. And so I was doing a lot of just delivery stuff, gig work type junk. And it was very, very boring. So I got into this, and the sky was the limit. There was just so much. And even to this day, there's stuff I'm learning. Oh, and I would like to mention that if you're ever looking into this platform, look at the hardware limitations of the different headsets. There's a lot of seminars on YouTube and stuff. They will really break it down for you and make it so that your worlds, when you make them, they'll run smoothly. They'll tell you every aspect of the headset, and they'll keep you within those guidelines. Yeah, and it helps out a lot.
Yeah, it's you said the sky's the limit, but there are some restrictions that you need to stay within in order to make sure that the worlds run smoothly. And the thing is if your world doesn't run smooth, people are not going to come back. And that's you have one first impression, and somebody jumps into your world and they crash. The chances of them coming back is slim and none. So you want it to be as smooth as possible when they come in to visit.
Well, the good news is, even with that the people that have been here longer, they understand that things kind of go bad at first. So, I mean, you do you lose a lot of the newer people, the visitors, the guests, things of that nature. But the older crowd does seem to be a little bit more forgiving. I'll give them that much.
That's too funny. So, we appreciate you coming on today and telling us your story and sharing with us your new world that you did for Atessa. It's been great hearing about, how you come in and you just have a passion for it, dive right in. And, in a few weeks, you were able to create stuff. So everybody out there who's interested in doing stuff, you put the work into it. Within a couple months, you could be really churning out some amazing things. So, if you're interested about learning more or connecting with a world builder, you can do some legwork in here in VR chat or one of the other metaverse platforms, or, check out on Instagram, look up World Creators on there. And if you're still not sure, you could reach out to any of us in the community, reach out to myself, drop me a DM in the Crypto City Instagram or my personal one, and I'd be more than happy to connect you with different people who might be helpful in your journey and might be able to point you to the right software to learn or the right courses to take in order to help, grow your skills. It's not a free ride. It's not, hey, I'm going to tell you connect with this person and tomorrow you're building things. It's going to be put your effort in, put in the time, and, really think it through too, because, one thing is, you might come into a world and be like, oh, this is so inspiring. I love this. I want to make something cool like this. But before you spend a lot of time working with, a mentor or a world builder, kind of gather your thoughts a little bit and go to them with some, don't waste their time. Go to them with, hey, I'm serious. I really want to do this. Can you please help me and point me in the right direction or teach me a few little shortcuts or keystrokes that I can do that will make my life easier while I'm learning this. But, don't just, world builders are busy and they're really making amazing things. So if they take the time for you, appreciate that. And, like I said, we have Kip in the audience who does classes for people to learn Blender. I mean, that's amazing that he's taking the time out of his schedule to help us learn this stuff. So, there's other people who are out there doing the same thing, holding classes, doing little workshops, if you want to call it. Like Second Life Rich was on last week and told us about how he calls them workshops because they're not necessarily step by step. They're people coming in and working together to actually grow, and help each other get through different things they might be stuck on and just need some support or some guidance. So definitely keep that in mind. The community is here. Just do the legwork to find exactly what you need.
Oh, yeah.
So next week, we actually have someone very special coming on. I personally am excited because my co-host from season 1 will be returning to the stage. Pixel Addict will be joining us next week to talk about AI, and he's actually bringing with him Vin from Naughty by Nature. So that is super exciting. They're going to come on and they are going to talk about all the things that they're doing in here in VR with merch and NFTs and AI and how they're integrating all of it together to help the fan experience be something super incredible. For those of us who were in Altspace, you might remember that Artsy did a lot of work with them and it created a world and a fan tour bus and all of that. Well, her work has been collaborated on with Second Life Rich, and he's helped bring everything in with her to get them rebuilt over here. So we're gonna do it. They did stuff in spatial. They're doing things here in VR chat. They're bouncing around and spreading throughout the metaverse now. So that'll be an exciting show. I'd also like to thank our sponsors and members of the Patreon. We actually have Second Life Rich after the show came up to me and said, how do we get in here? And now you see he's got a poster up on the back wall there advertising Lux VR. Hume AI is the sponsor. Yes. And when you first spawned in, you saw up on the wall, there's the banner ads that float up there. We've got DJ Marcus, we've got Kip, we've got Satomora and Fuchsia, and those are all up there. So take a moment to take a look at those as you're exiting. And, thank you again, POCI. Appreciate you coming in. And we hope all of you will be here next week on Monday night. Thank you all for coming out to Crypto City. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Awesome
It was
show.
great. Thank you.